Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For your kind information, myself Rocha, and I belong to nursing fraternity, and I've been making several videos related to mental health nursing as well as nursing research. And today I would like to introduce this subject psychology, and henceforth I'll be making some videos on psychology subject as well. It is very important to understand behavior of individuals, as we are going to be nursing professionals and health professionals. We are going to deal with the different patients, and we are going to interact with other professionals. It's very important to have an understanding about ourselves and others, how each person behaves differently in different situations. So in this video I'm going to discuss related to psychology, introduction part of it, the meaning of psychology, scope of it, and other aspects like importance of psychology, etc. Now, coming to introduction of psychology, we as an individuals, we are not only interested in ourselves, we are interested in others. We want to know about others. We are curious what others are doing. Am I true or not? You want to have an understanding why I behave in certain way, why couldn't I have behaved like that, why I get so emotional, why this person reacts this way, she can react in the other way, isn't it? So always there is a quest in our mind that what happens in different situations, or how we react in different situations, is quite different from individual to individual. Why is this so? We are going to get an understanding of all this if we just go through this subject, psychology. But in this video, I am going to just discuss about the introduction part of it. Now, coming to psychology, initially it was not discussed as a separate subject. It is linked with spiritually, philosophically. For example, if anybody behaved little bit different, they thought maybe an evil spirit possessed. So it's linked with religion. It's only in 19th century that we have developed this concept that religion is separate and mind is separate. And the first persons or the individuals who focused on psychology is like Greeks, people from Greece. They were the ones who just got curious about knowing psychology, and they started understanding certain aspects of mind, and they separated mind from religion aspect, so that we no longer, if a person behaves, he is not demon possessed or evil spirit possessed that person. That's the reason. Because it's so pathetic to hear, like, if any person with an abnormal behavior was treated very badly in previous ages. Coming to the history of psychology, William Wundt, an important person who is called as father of psychology, he had his own laboratory which was established in 1979, and he started experimenting on various aspects of human behavior to measure the behavior of an individual. This beginning at this 18th century has opened up various ways where we can understand behavior of an individual. Now, coming to this word psychology, it is derived from Greek word where psyche means soul and logos means study of. So psychology is defined as a study of soul. So if we just look in religious point of view, we say like, mm, we are made up of body and soul. After we die, soul will reach to God. This is the concept. There is a body and soul. So once the soul leaves this body, body is no more alive. It has no meaning at all. So it's buried. And soul reaches to God. This is our belief. Like, so initially the definition of psychology is like study of soul. But later on, the definition of psychology has changed. We look into how it has changed. Psychology is systematic study of human and animal behavior. Initially it was called as what? Study of soul. Now we are calling it as systematic study of human and animal behavior. How it changed? Study of soul, then it changed to study of mind. How we can say it's like study of mind? Why? How it got converted? It is when, like Aristotle, he described that mind as a function of all body processes. So how the individual acts, behaves in different situations, it is all because of mind that we behave like that. Then on, it became study of mind. Again, later on, we have an important person called as Sigmund Freud. So he said there are different levels of mind, like conscious, subconscious, unconscious, and there are different layers of mind, or topography of mind, which we say like ego and superego. So after that, we started like, if a person is unconscious, he is like a vegetable. If he is in a coma, he is like a vegetable. So especially a person can think when he is conscious, and the memories retain in unconscious, and recent memories exist in subconscious. That's where, to understand the behavior of an individual, it just had another meaning, like study of conscious experience of an individual. When a person is conscious, whatever his experience, and those experiences go back and get stored into subconscious and some in unconscious. Major portion of our mind consists of unconsciousness. And later on, it became a study of behavior of an individual. Now, to define psychology, we define it as a study of human and animal behavior. Next, coming to what is meant by behavior. Now, we said study of human or animal behavior is called as psychology, systematic study. What is meant by behavior? We need to have an understanding regarding this. Behavior is consisting of the activities and experiences of all living organisms. Activity involves action, part of it. Experience is something, when the action is completed, we get it. Now, for example, if you just look into the environment has lot of stimuli or stimulus, and when the stimulus is received by an individual or a body or a person, whatever it is, as we said, stimulus, it comes from the environment. So when it is received by the person or a living organism, you call it as a living organism, immediately it responds. For example, I am going on road and suddenly I see a car which is coming at 100 kilometers per speed in front of me, what I try to do, just move aside or just see that I'm in a safe position. I try to run somewhere where I can be safe. Or if I see a buffalo running towards me and coming, what I'll do? If I see a snake coming towards me, what I'll do? I'll just try to move away, protect myself. It is almost like that. I see a stimulus, body receives a stimulus, and that stimulus is reached to the brain where an interpretation occurs. Then in response, we try to produce some action. That is an activity. So behavior can be of two types, like overt behavior and covert behavior. So behavior which is seen outside, behavior which we analyze or we think inside of us. So one behavior is observable, there is another behavior which we do not observe, but there is a process which goes on in our mind. Now, behavior in psychological point of view, we call it as psychomotor aspects. So when we say psychomotor aspects, it consists of three areas like cognitive, conative, and affective. These three are called as psychomotor aspects. When we say cognitive, conative, and affective, cognitive is also otherwise called as motor activities like walking, swimming, dancing, etc., etc. When we say cognitive activities are like thinking, reasoning, imagining. Then affective activities are our feelings and emotions like sadness, happiness, angry, jealousy, envy, etc. So our behavior includes all these three areas. Example, suppose you're walking on a road and you see an old lady who is not able to cross that road. So you see an old lady not able to cross that road. You, in your mind, you'll think and you feel pity for that person. Then you feel like helping that person. You'll understand the hardship she is facing to cross that road. Then what you'll do? You'll start walking towards that old lady and you want to help. Your intention is that you'll hold that lady by your hand, then you'll cross the road along with that lady and see that she's safe. Then you come back. So after doing that activity, you will have a satisfied feeling, you have an inner joy that you did something good for someone. So now if you just analyze this activity, there is cognitive aspect which is involved like thinking, reasoning. Then there is a conative activity which is involved like walking. There is an affective activity like feeling happiness. Whatever we do, it involves all these three aspects. So behavior, it refers to the entire life activities and the experiences of all living organisms. And there are behaviors which can be observed externally, and there is a mental process, something which goes on inside our mind as well. Now coming to development of psychology. As said earlier, like if you look back into the history, during 18th century, it was in 18th century that we had an understanding of how the psychology is like different from that of religion. That's when it started. Like if you look back into 1793, it's almost nearing to 18th century. That's when Philippe Fanal, he's a person who just visited some mental asylums where asylums are the places where mentally ill people were kept, the way they are treated, tormented and tortured, beaten, chained. He said, this is not how they are supposed to be treated. They are outcasted from the society and kept somewhere far from the community, from their loved ones. This is not how they are supposed to be kept. That's where an insight came. Then before that itself, if you just look back, Hippocrates, he is considered as a father of medicine. He said mental disorders or illnesses are caused by any imbalances in the four humors. Four humors, when we say, they're the fluids like yellow bile, black bile, blood, and phlegm. And according to that, he, on basing on this concept, he explained about different types of personalities which exists in human beings. So we have an understanding. Like after that, 19th century, where we said William Wundt, he established a psychology laboratory, and after that, many people, for example, Ivan Pavlov, he explained about, gave different explanation regarding learning theories, and we have some explanations related to structuralism, functionalism, which I'm going to discuss in detail in my later videos. But for an understanding, if we take how the development of psychology began, it's almost from 18th century. It slowly started from 19th century. It has started taking a big moment, and it was a quick moment where after establishing this laboratory, we thought we had some experiments done on behavior of an individuals, especially related to their learning, thinking, motivation aspects, intelligence, then personality aspects. Different researches were done, experiments were done to explain the behavior of an individual. Now, coming to scope of psychology. When we say scope, telescope, we use telescope for just viewing something far, isn't it? To have a clear where it can reach to a far distance and give, capture that far view, whatever is there, and it will give us a clear picture to wherever we are. Telescope, how it is used. So when we use this word scope, it means where all psychology can be used, which all areas it can be used. So coming to scope of psychology, fields of its operation and application. Now it is too vast, and there are different branches of psychology. It's not a single aspect when we say psychology. There are different types of branches like applied psychology, we have pure psychology. Under that there are other areas where we focus, and these areas are mainly focused on psychomotor domains, especially what I have explained, like life activities of human beings and individuals, including cognitive, affective, conscious, unconscious, subconscious. That's what I have explained, like levels of mind. So it studies not only human behavior and human experience. Now it is extended to language, communication, how people interact in different societies, how cultures of people are different, and it also compares the behavior of an individual or activities done by individuals in different castes, cultures, age, sex, color, etc. It has extended to all these areas. So scope of psychology, it studies normal behavior of an individual, abnormal, children, adolescent, youth, older persons, criminals, patients, officials, students, teachers, parents, consumers, etc. Now the scope of psychology is very broad, and you need to know in which all areas we can apply the knowledge of this psychology. Coming to branches of psychology, as I have said, there are two branches like pure psychology and applied psychology, and there are different fields and subfields under this. When we say pure psychology, it provides framework and theory. You need to understand what is the difference between applied psychology and pure psychology. When we say applied psychology, where all can we apply the knowledge of psychology, what we have. When we say pure psychology, to understand the behavior of an individual or animal or whatever it is, from which all resources can we gather the information. That comes under that. Now coming to pure psychology, it provides framework and theory. It deals with formulation of psychological principles and theories. It suggests various methods and techniques for the analysis, assessment, modification and improvement of behavior. Now coming to applied psychology, as I said, theory generated through this pure psychology will be useful in different areas. The principles, the rules, the techniques, they are used in different areas where, like, maybe, okay, we'll just see these branches of psychology, you will have a better understanding. So under pure psychology, first one is general psychology, abnormal psychology. Anyway, we will go in detail regarding these topics. So abnormal psychology, social psychology, we have physiological psychology, parapsychology, geopsychology, developmental psychology, experimental psychology. And under applied psychology, we have educational psychology, clinical, industrial, legal, military, political. Not only that, we have other areas as well, which I am going to discuss in detail. So first one, general psychology. This is what we are going to deal with in our psychology subject. We are going to have an understanding with the fundamental rules, principles, theories of psychology in relation to the study of behavior of a normal individual. It's not only adult, but different stages of life of an individual, of human being or human being. We are going to have an understanding in that, and our subject usually deals with it, especially in nursing. Next, coming to abnormal psychology. It deals with the behavior of an individual who are unusual, especially mental disorders and their causes and treatment. So this will be dealt in mental health nursing, and that will be especially discussed in your 5th sem or 6th sem. Next one, social psychology. When we say society, it deals with the group behavior of group and interrelationships which exist between the people, their public, their opinions, their attitudes, their way of beliefs, crowded behavior, etc. This you will have an understanding when you are going through this other subject, sociology. Next one is physiological psychology. So it is a branch of psychology. When we say physiological, anatomy and physiology, this mainly deals with different parts of the body, sense organs, nervous system, muscles and glands, and how their functioning affects the behavior of an individual. Next, coming to parapsychology. When we say parapsychology, extrasensory perceptions. Like, we all believe in some superstitious beliefs. Okay, superstitious beliefs. Like, for example, causes of rebirth. If we are Hindus, like Hindus believe it's not only one birth. We have 7 births at least, or some say 12 births. There is a rebirth. Some believe in that aspect. How does this happen? So I am born, in my previous birth I am like this. It is like that. Then apart from that, suppose if we take like twins, if one is sick, the other person also falls sick. We have this understanding. We believe that. So their behavior will be same. when they are born and they brought up in different environments, but they are prone to face the same incidences occurring at the same time, or something like mind reading, guessing that something will happen. When I say mind reading, it is almost like a telepathy, where a person can just instruct another person to do certain things, or can a person who can read what's going on in another person's mind. So we are all connected, interconnected. We stay somewhere far from our family, and suddenly you get a bad dream, and you call back to your home and they say something has happened. Then you'll tell, okay, fine, last night I had a bad dream. That's the reason I called you. You get some signals. We believe something. So if a crow, if it shouts, then you think like some visitors are coming to your house. So parapsychology deals with extrasensory perceptions. We have different senses, isn't it? Like we have 5 senses. According to psychology, we say we have 7 senses, and there are other extrasensory perceptions. So parapsychology deals with all those. Next, coming to geopsychology. This is a branch of psychology which describes and explains the relation of physical environment, or a particularly weather or a climate or a soil, how it influences the behavior of an individual. For example, my behavior when I live in India is different from my behavior living, which I just live in UK, because the weather is very cold here, and the way I dress, the way I behave is quite different from that of India. So geopsychology describes and explains the relationship about how environment will bring about not only different locations. For example, people behave differently when it is a hot day, and they behave different when it is very cold. Coming to other branches like developmental psychology, this deals with like growth and development from the time of conception to the time of death of an individual, different stages of life, and how we see about different changes in an individual behavior from birth to old age until death of an individual. And coming to experimental psychology, here the individual's behavior is studied by carrying out different experiments by using some scientific methods. For example, like maybe understanding the learning, memory, sensation, perception, or motivation by doing some experiments on animals as well as individuals. We get the results and we try to prove. So it involves research. These are all some branches which we have discussed so far. They are under pure psychology. Now we are going to see about applied psychology. Now the knowledge what we have acquired from the pure psychology, whatever it may be, like experimental psychology, or you have said like social psychology or geopsychology, extra parapsychology, etc., whatever you get from that information or theory, we are going to apply in various settings or areas. So under that, educational psychology, it is an applied psychology. So what we are going to use, it's going to use psychological principle, theories, techniques to human behavior in educational situations or settings. How we can teach students or the learners, in what way we can motivate the learners. So this psychological knowledge will be helpful in educational settings in this way. Coming to clinical psychology, now we as nurses, we come across different patients with different mindsets, different behaviors. Some might be normal, some might be abnormal. Each individual is different and unique. This understanding about behavior of an individual or a psychology, what causes different mental illnesses, why people behave differently, we'll have an understanding regarding that. And we will try to apply that knowledge to understand the patient as well as our behavior. As well as apart from that, we have different therapies like cognitive therapy, behavioral therapy, psychoanalysis, etc., which we will apply in our clinical settings to bring about modification and changes in the behavior of an individual. Next, coming to industrial psychology. Now, when we see here, when we say industry, there are large groups of people who work in industries. Group dynamics plays an important role. So public organizations and private organizations, they hire and they give some placements, and they have certain criteria for providing training and supervision for their personnel. They want to improve their communication, they want to bring out the best output out of their industry or an organization, and they want to deal with different types of employees and bring the best out of them. And each individual will be unique and they have their own psychological problems. Group dynamics play an important role. Definitely there needs to be a counselor in an industry, every industry, to counsel, to guide the employees as well as the employer, and the way employer needs to behave with the employees and how he can bring best out of the employees. Next, coming to legal psychology. When we say legal psychology, this is a branch of applied psychology. It tries to understand the behavior of an individuals like criminals, witnesses, whether they're telling the truth or not, the root of crime, offense, dispute, whatever it is, what is the intention of a person committing that crime, so we can get out of them. So this is how some psychologists are called to just put a person to hypnotic state and get things out of their mind, because some criminals, they don't say whatever has happened in a straight manner. So we need to do some abreactive treatments and hypnotherapies for the persons to bring out things, just to observe the person's behavior, whoever it is like. Next, another branch or sub-branch of it is military psychology. So here psychology is used especially in military science, how to keep the morale of the soldiers or citizens high during wartime, because it is a crisis period. Any person can just go out of control for the stress he faces during wars, but still they have to keep themselves. As well as the soldiers, they just come away they just stay away from their families for a period of longer periods, and they need a lot of stability in their mind, and they have to adapt themselves to different climates, etc., and etc., all these things. So military psychology deals with these aspects. Next, coming to political psychology. Here psychology principles and techniques are used to just win political game, and how a person can get benefited politically, and how to influence people. So these aspects are dealt here. Then we have neuropsychology. So in neuropsychology, we know how it mainly discusses related to the nervous system, brain, and how brain and different areas of brain, how they coordinate, how they influence the behavior of an individual. And in health psychology, we are going to see about how illness is going to affect the individual and how people react to that. It's not only people, the individual who is suffering, but also the family. And in community psychology, we are going to see about the behavior of the people who are living in that community, and their beliefs, lifestyles, attitude towards health, as well as certain conditions, health conditions which are more prevalent in certain communities, and their behaviors towards that. Next, coming to consumer psychology, this is psychology, and its principles are mostly used by the in this aspects, like mostly used by the ones, maybe we can say like an industry which wants to sell its product. So before selling its product, it wants to know about the consumer opinion or attitude towards a certain product. Different companies, they want to know, when we go and buy certain things, they will just ask us to give a review of their product. We just see this mostly in Amazon or Temu or whatever it is. Whenever we get a product, how satisfied the customer is. Like before and all, it was like, if a price used to be, if it is 500, it used to be 500. If it is used to be 1000, they used to put straight price. But nowadays they put 499 or something like nearing 490, and it makes 1 rupee difference or 90 paisa difference, and we just assume it as 499 but not 500. It's a consumer psychology. So especially this persons, mainly with marketing, like, and having an understanding about the consumers' attitudes, opinions, and beliefs, that deals with this unit. Next, coming to environmental psychology. So this here, when we say environment, how it influences an individual behavior, as we said, hot climate, cold climate, language preferences, attitudes, beliefs, dressing styles, cultures, and all. Environment, how it influences an individual. So this is where psychology is applied. Then it's coming to school psychology. When we say school psychology, where teachers are educated, where how to differentiate between learners, and learners especially with some learning disabilities, mental retardations, or learning difficulties. It's teachers are taught not to consider all the students as under the same cadre or a same level, but to differentiate between average, above average, or below average, etc. Now coming to sports psychology. In sports psychology, it mainly deals with the sports. For example, if you take a cricket game which is played around the world, and from, if you just take from India, we do have different states, and players gather from different states, and they have their own beliefs and attitudes, but at the same time they just form as a team to play for representing the country. And at times when they're playing, they might lose the game, or they might be short of few runs, which is very stressful for the player. So in sports psychology, they use these principles of psychology to motivate the team members to reach their goals, and how they can just stay themselves not getting stressed up, and how as a team they can work together and keep themselves intact, even though there is a variation in their opinions, etc., and all those things. Now coming to counseling, this refers to branch. It refers to a unit where a professionally trained person guides a person who is in need of some areas, like helping to solve their problems, or who is having some maladaptive behaviors, or who requires some support psychologically, and helps the individual to solve their problems and come out of that situation where he is facing the problems. So counseling, it helps the individuals who are in need and who are suffering mentally with some issues which can be resolved by themselves with the help of the psychologists. So these are different areas of psychology. So I hope you have understood this. Coming to the summary part of it, we have discussed so far regarding psychology and understanding of what is psychology, and slowly it started with the study of soul, then it ended up with study of behavior. Next, in between it went on between it discussed regarding study of mind, then study of an behavior of an individual or an animal or a human or an animal, and history of psychology and scope of psychology. In my video I'm going to discuss about the importance of psychology. Anyway, we will go in detail regarding the other aspects. Please don't forget to subscribe and share this channel. Bye for now. See you all soon. Thank you all very much. Bye.